State of the Union address last year, President Obama warned of a stampede of special interest money flooding into our politics in the wake of the Supreme Court's Citizens United verdict. In our third story, 9 months after that decision, a month before the first post-Citizens United election, the president's stampede has long since proved to be an understatement. Tonight, there is hard evidence that faceless, nameless corporate interests are using unprecedented sums of cash, possibly some of it foreign, to push their radical right-wing candidates over the finish line. Today's Washington Post reporting that interest group spending 1 month before the 2006 midterm elections was $16 million, and we knew where 90% of the money came from. So far in this election cycle, the figure is 5 times that. $80 million so far, half of that money untraceable. Quoting the Post, the bulk of the money is being spent by conservatives who have swamped their Democratic-aligned competition by 7-1 in recent weeks. Federal Election Committee filings from the week ending September 26 show Karl Rove's American Crossroads PAC spent over $3 million, nearly 3 times what the National Republican Senatorial Committee spent to oppose Democratic Senate candidates. Back in August, American Crossroads raised $2.4 million from 3 Texas billionaires. Rove now using that money to beat Democrats in Missouri, Nevada, Ohio, and Colorado. And that's only what we know. We have no idea who or what gave the shadowy group American Future Fund the $7 million it has spent this election cycle. We do know the group is based in Iowa. We also know they paid the same guy who created the 1988 Willie Horton ad to make anti-democratic ads playing on ground zero Islamophobia. Now the Iowa-based nonprofit is doling out cash to try to defeat 16 Democrats in 16 congressional races across 13 states outside Iowa. American Future Fund mass-producing Democrat-bashing ads, Henry Ford style. Insert your Democratic name here.
On Election Day, take the right path. Vote against Mark Schauer. On Election Day, take the right path. Vote against Jim Marshall. On Election Day, take the right path. Vote against Gary McDowell. Vote against Bobby Bright. Vote against John Spratt. Vote against John Adler. Vote against Mike Oliveria, Travis Childers, Chad Causey, Rick Larson, Denny Heck, Bill Foster, Debbie Halverson, Herseth Sandlin, Martin Heinrich. Vote against Chad Edwards. American Future Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Let's call in Huffington Post senior political editor, MSNBC political analyst Howard Feynman. Howard, good evening.
Hi, Keith.
The Post called this a spending frenzy conducted largely in the shadows. Is there precedent for it, and what does a government elected by Karl Rove's PAC and this American Future Fund look like?
A cross between the Bush administration and the McKinley administration. I mean, the last time it was like this, frankly, was when the Republican Party was a wholly owned subsidiary of J.P. Morgan and the Pennsylvania Railroad and Andrew Carnegie. And that's where things are headed now on the Republican side. That Citizens United decision, by the way, I was in the court to listen to that rehearing because I knew how important it was going to be. It was important legally, but it was also important psychologically for corporations, their leaders, and Republicans in general. Republicans like Rove have gone out and solicited the money, telling corporate leaders, don't worry, there's nothing legally to fear anymore. The reason spending was held down in the past, corporations which are cautious by nature were worried about lawsuits and federal action. They're not worried about it anymore thanks to the Supreme Court.
The DNC said it had its best fundraising month of the year, $16 million from low-dollar donors, and it also has special interest spending money on its behalf. Does this all balance out, he asked leadingly?
No.
No.
It does not balance out. First of all, on the advertising side, as the Post said, maybe 7-1. I've heard estimates as high as 9 or 10-1. Attack ads against Democrats versus spending that would help the Democrats. Almost all that money is going into TV advertising, and it's going to help Republican candidates in one way or another. The Democrats are focusing on get out the vote. They're focusing on the ground game. They're facing a difficult choice. Do they leave the airwaves unanswered? In other words, do they take some of their scarce resources and put it in television ads to answer this wave from Karl Rove Company and company, or do they try to do it on the ground? The problem in a midterm election, a low turnout midterm election, is TV ads are easy to do if you've got the money. GOTV is hard to do unless you have enthusiasm, and in the union ranks and in the old peace movement of a few years ago, you just don't see the troops willing to get out there in the way they were in 2008.
One of the things, as you know from being in the room when Citizens United was announced, the great concern about foreign entities having now a cleaner path into putting money into American elections. Is there evidence of that with this new report today?
Well, I think there might be. I think Progress, which is out of the research progressive blog they're saying that they think there's a lot more foreign money coming in, for example, through the Chamber of Commerce. The fact is that there have always in recent years been foreign corporations that have a lot of employees here that do get involved in Chamber of Commerce activities and other lobbying activities. The difference here now is post-Citizens United, there's an atmosphere of no holds barred. As much money as you want, directly to advocate for or against candidates as in those ads that you just showed. And I think there is going to be a lot of foreign money in here, a lot of foreign corporate money, and a lot of it will be untraceable because it's not required that it be reported in many cases.
All right, this last question about a new breaking advertising story. This is not soft money. This is not this money from Citizens United. This is from the campaign of Christine O'Donnell. A new ad is out. It's non-witch news, and I want to play it and get your reaction. Here's the non-witch advertisement.
I'm not a witch. I'm nothing you've heard. I'm you. None of us are perfect, but none of us can be happy with what we see all around us. Politicians who think spending, trading favors, and backroom deals are the ways to stay in office. I'll go to Washington and do what you'd do. I'm Christine O'Donnell, and I approve this message. I'm you.
All right, Howard, if she's me, I'm jumping out the window. But did she say bathroom deals? It's a little bit with the piano in the background. I couldn't really hear everything in there. Is that a good ad or a really bad one?
I think that you don't even need Saturday Night Live. I'm afraid to say in this case. Not since Richard Nixon declared, "I am not a crook," has there been such a moment. To start an ad by saying, "I am not a witch," really. But they did their best to make her look like the Junior League there. You know, she's got the pearls and the piano in the background and the shy black dress. But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you who didn't make that ad. Karl Rove.
That's right.
Karl Rove, who's running the Republican Party now, didn't want her in this race, is still vehemently against her, really, even though he claims otherwise. And is disconsolate at the fact that the Republicans, he thinks, could lose their shot at taking the Senate because of her. She didn't do anything to get in his good graces with that ad, I do not think.
Well, better the Junior League than the Anti-Sex League. Howard Fineman, now the senior political editor with the Huffington Post. Thanks for your time, and neither of us are witches either.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.